Thank you. Let me turn on my screen first. Yes. Please. Okay. Yes, my presentation is titled War, Displaced People and Poverty in Contemporary Films. First of all, I want to congratulate you for this fruitful conference, Film and Philosophy conference. Yes, I'm working in the cinema and television department, and I usually focus on migration and gender issues. And in this presentation, I want to discuss the challenges faced by refugees as depicted in cinema from different countries. And I'm focusing on conflicts and poverty, refugees and war. I relate these concepts, and I focus on three films. One is Daha from Turkey from 2017, and one is 4.1 Miles from Greece, produced by Daphne Matsiaraki, 2016. And the other is The Island of the Hungry Ghosts. It's from West Australian island, and it's produced in 2018 by Gabriela Brady. And I will also talk about some other films, The Guest from Turkey, Capernaum from Beirut, and Afghanistan. First of all, I want to talk about the background because refugees many times are not able to benefit from opportunities such as education, health, social security, and women and children are the most vulnerable groups, and they are subject to various forms of exploitation and rape and their problems start from the very beginning. For example, when start to flee from war, if they are lucky and if they don't die, their problem starts and fleeing from war. And when they escape, they encounter the most humane conditions and in the transit countries, and they also struggle for life at sea, for example, in Mediterranean Sea. And when they are lucky and they can reach an island, for example, they have a confinement in detention centers. And if they are lucky, and the most fortunate refugees can reach the destination country, and there are so few of them. And I want to give examples for these situations in this presentation. Let's start with Daha. It's a Turkish film. Daha in Turkish means more. More means more refugees. More refugees means more dollars or more euros for human traffickers. So the name derives from this meaning. And the location is probably the Asian coast, because the director just make a fictional town, and we don't know where it is, but it is because according to the news and media, we mostly see refugees trying to go to Europe from Asian coast. And this film is about the Syrian refugees who are the victims of forced migration and human traffickers, and they try to escape to Europe through Mediterranean Sea. And during these stages, they are exposed to abuse and mistreatment by human traffickers. And they are they are kept waiting for days in humane places, locked down until they get on the boats, and they are harassed, and these are the dark and airless basements for the days. It's just in inhumane conditions. And in the film, we watch a woman dragged into prostitution, for example, and they are killed, and they are subject to verbal and physical ill treatment by human traffickers. And this film is the first step of the films I will talk about. It is before reaching the sea. It is still on the land. This film, 4.1 miles, this film is the second stage. This one is the more lucky ones, lucky refugees who have dollars and euros to give to human traffickers. But this is just so risky. And this is the Lesbos Island in Greece. It's very close to Turkish west coast, and it's about European migrant crisis. And this is a documentary film, a short documentary film. It's a real. In this film, we see people, children. Some of them are drowning, and this is really heartbreaking film. And we see rescue moments by.
Das Top-Suchergebnis aus dem Netz.
Sorry, we see some rescue moments by Greek authorities, because some children, some people are drowning at sea. And here the greatest poverty is a loss of life of a person or loved ones, as before, because this few of them only can survive. And we also watch the greatest moments of despair, and they have no place, and it's just a small wolf, as you see. And on the other hand, we see some locals just go about their normal lives. For example, having a lunch on the beach, and they watch these people. This tragedy becomes the local people's normal life. And after this film is the more lucky ones, because Island of the Hungry Ghosts by Gabriele Bredi, 2018. The location is the Australian territory of Christmas Island, and it is the luck. It's maybe these people are more luckier ones than the previous two films, because they are able to reach an island. And in this film we see a detention center, and it's like a living hell for the refugees. I mean, idyllic island. And we see that we see compassion for animals, because at the same time some crabs also migrate, and it's like a parallel. Also crabs migrate and people migrate, but we see more compassion for crabs, but lack of compassion for people at the detention center. And here we see in indefinite detention, and why are they locked up? And there's a slowness of time and permanent impermanence. And here the narrator is the trauma therapist, and she also gets traumatized by the situation of the refugees, because it's like the island is like a heaven, but the detention center inside it like a hell. Yes, yes. And what the three films have in common is I talked about invisibility, obscurity, silence, and claustrophobic stuckness, both at sea and on land, and inhumane conditions, and of course, death threat, and people are subject to ill treatment, and all three are these three places, locations are a have a heavenly geography, but hell for refugees and asylum seekers. So we have to talk, we have to ask if some place is like a heaven, but it is, what about poor people, what about refugees? We should ask ourselves. Maybe for them there it's not heaven and it's hell for them. And I want to talk shortly about some other films, because these are poverty in host and transit countries. For example, The Guest is a Turkish film. It's more transit country, Turkey here, and Capernaum and in Afghanistan. These are actually at the beginning for the refugees. These are transit countries, but then somehow, if they cannot able to reach the other countries, Europe, for example, Turkey or Lebanon becomes a host country for them. And The Guest, for example, we see children orphaned by the Syrian civil war. They are homeless, and they struggle to get to Europe in risky conditions again. And we see child laborers. And in Capernaum, it's the very same. And it's a Lebanese film by Labaki, and these are all produced in 2017, 2018. They are very, in terms of years, production times, they are also similar. And children are victims of poverty and immorality in Capernaum as well. We see many problems for children, child beggars, like child moms, child brides, and some criminality as well. And Afghanistan is about Afghan refugees, and also in this one we see human trafficking, and they work as waste workers, like slavery, and it's in Istanbul, the biggest cosmopolitan city in Turkey. And also we see, we see their poor conditions is in this film as well. And in Turkey, for example, Syrian refugees have millions, more than 7 million Syrian refugees living, and then Afghan refugees also flee from war, from conflicts from Afghanistan. And now I want to conclude my presentation. And we see that each of the stages of fleeing the war is tragic, and poverty awaits the lucky refugees when they arrive in the host or transit country. And children are the most frequent victims we can observe in these films. And on top of that, refugees or asylum seekers are exposed to false language and discourse in the media. And of course, they are very basic human problems with biological and psychological health problems. Of course, these are very problematic. But when they are exposed to false language, when they are othered, marginalized in the media, this also affects these people's lives. And I think they should have, the refugees and asylum migrants and asylum seekers should have better opportunities to express themselves in the media and in the films. And the cinema and media should reflect on the social cultural facts mentioned above from time to time to inform and sensitize the audience. Thank you very much for your listening to me.